Yay, another day of Billionaire Boy. Let's see if we can find out if Joe's going to tell Lauren where that £5,000 came from. Joe looked at Lauren. There was no way of avoiding telling her now. My dad is Len Spud, he said sorrowfully. The bum-fresh billionaire. My name's not Potato. I just said that so you wouldn't know who I was. The truth is, we're stupidly rich. But when people find out, it tends to ruin everything. You know what? Some of the other kids told me this morning, said Lauren. Joe's sadness lifted for a moment. He reminded himself that Lauren had still gone for a nice lolly with him yesterday when she thought he was just Joe. Maybe it wouldn't ruin things this time. Why didn't you say anything? He asked. Because it doesn't matter. I don't care about all that. I just like you, she said. Joe was so happy he wanted to cry. It's strange how sometimes you can be so happy it goes all the way round to sadness. I really like you too. Joe moved closer to Lauren. This was the moment to kiss. He closed his eyes and pushed his lips together. Not here in the playground, Joe. Lauren pushed him away, laughing. Joe felt embarrassed. He had even tried. I am sorry. He quickly changed the subject. I was just trying to do something kind for that old bag. I know. It's unbelievable. It's not the money. I don't care about the money. No, it's that she took your generosity for granted, offered Lauren. Joe looked up to meet her gaze. Exactly. Come on, said Lauren. I think what you need is some chips. I'll buy you some. The local chippy was bursting with kids from the comprehensive. It was against the rules to leave the school premises at lunchtime, but the food in the canteen was so awful there wasn't much choice. The grubs were at the front of the queue, but fled as soon as they saw Lauren, leaving their battered sausages sizzling on the counter. The pair stood outside on the pavement and ate their chips. Joe couldn't remember the last time he'd enjoyed such a simple pleasure. It must have been when he was really, really little, before the bum-fresh billions came and changed everything. Joe wolfed his chips down and noticed Lauren had barely touched hers. He was still hungry, but wasn't sure whether their relationship had advanced to the point where he could start helping himself to her food. That was normally after a few years of marriage, and they weren't even engaged yet. Have you finished with yours? He ventured. Yes, she replied. I don't want to eat too much. I'm working next week. Working? Doing what? Said Joe. Lauren suddenly looked very flustered. What did I say? I thought you said you were working. Yeah, I am working. She paused and then took a breath. Just in a shop. Joe wasn't convinced. So why would you need to be thin to work in a shop? Lauren looked uncomfortable. It's a very narrow shop, she said. She checked her watch. We've got double maths in 10 minutes. We'd better go. Joe frowned. There was something strange going on here. Chapter 16. Peter Bread. The witch is dead, sang a spotty little boy. Ding dong, the witch is dead. It wasn't even registration time yet, but already the news was spreading across the school like flu. What do you mean? Asked Joe as he took his seat in his classroom. On the other side of the class, he could see Bob looking over at him with a pained expression. Probably jealous about Lauren, thought Joe. Haven't you heard? Said another even spottier little boy behind him. Spite's been sacked. Why? Asked Joe. Who cares? Said a slightly less spotty boy. No more boring history lessons. Joe smiled, then frowned. He hated Miss Spite and her tedious lessons like everybody else, but wasn't sure she had done anything to deserve losing her job. Even though she was horrible, she was actually a good teacher. Spite's been sacked, blurted Joe to Lauren as she walked in. Yes, I heard, she replied. It's brilliant news, isn't it? Well, I suppose so, said Joe. I thought that's what you wanted. You said you couldn't stand her. Yes, but... Joe hesitated for a moment. I just feel a bit, sorry for her. Lauren pulled a dismissive face. Meanwhile, a gang of fierce-looking girls were sat on desks at the back of the class. The smallest of the group was pushed over in Lauren's direction as the others looked on, smirking. Got any pot noodles, then? She asked, much to the amusement of the gang. Lauren shot Joe a look. I don't know what you mean, she protested. Don't lie, said the girl. You look different in it, but I well reckon it's you. I've no idea what you're talking about, said Lauren, a little flustered. Before Jo could speak, a young man in old man's clothes entered the classroom and took his position uncertainly by the blackboard. Simmer down, please, he said quietly. No one in the classroom took any notice except Jo. I said, simmer down, please. The new teacher's second sentence was barely more audible than the first. Still none of the other children took any notice. In fact, if anything, they started making even more noise than before. That's better, said the little man, trying to make the best of it. Now, as you may know, Miss Spite isn't here today. Yeah, she's been given the boot, shouted a loud girl. Well, that's not, well, yes, it is true, the teacher continued in his faint monotone. Now I'm going to be taking over from Miss Spite as your form teacher and also to teach your history lesson and English. My name is Mr. Bread. He began writing his name neatly on the board. But you can call me Peter. Suddenly there was quiet as 30 little brains whirred. Peter Bread! Peter Bread! Proclaimed a boy from the back. A huge wave of laughter crashed over the classroom. Jo had tried to give this poor man a chance, but he couldn't help but laugh. Please, please, can I have some quiet? Pleaded the unfortunately named teacher. But there was no use. The whole class was in uproar. The new form teacher had committed the biggest blunder any teacher could make, having a silly name. This is a serious point. If you have a name like any of these in the list below, it's very, very important you don't become a teacher. Sue Doku, Tom Arto, Justin Case, Neil Down, Will Ing, Bob Head, Terry Dactyl, Claire Voyant, Mel Formed, Rachel Prejudice, Mona Lott, Herbie Hind, Ima Hogg, Carol Singer, Don Key, Rhoda Camel, Robin Banks, Felix Excited, Jerry Attrick, B. O'Problem, Anita Bath, Sue Age, Marcus Absent, Al Jabra, Barbara Blacksheep, Kitty Litter, Mary Christmas, Gym Class, Doris Closed, Doris Locked, Wayne Deer, Dan Druff, Humphrey Dumpty, Stan Dupp, Cliff Hanger, Lee King, Manuel Labour, Ruth Less, Marsha Mellow, Walter Melon, Hazel Nut, Luke Out, Lolly Pop, Chuck Up. Seriously, don't even consider it. The kids in your class will make your life a living hell. Now, back to the story. Right, said the unfortunately named teacher. I'm going to take the register. Adams, don't forget Tara Masalata, shouted a skinny blonde-haired boy. The laughter swept up again. I did ask her quiet, said Mr. Bread pathetically. Or Tedziki, hollowed another kid. The laughter was deafening now. Peter Bread put his head in his hands. Jo could almost feel sorry for him. This grey little man's life was going to be an utter misery from this day forward. Oh no, thought Jo. We're all going to fail our exams. Chapter 17, A Knock on the Toilet Door. There are a number of things you don't want to hear when you sit on the toilet. A fire alarm, an earthquake, the roar of a hungry lion in the cubicle next door, a large group of people shouting "Surprise!" to you, the sound of the entire toilet block being demolished by a giant wrecking ball, the clicking sound of someone taking a photograph, the sound of an electric eel swimming up the U-bend, someone drilling a hole in the wall, a knock on the door. The last one was exactly what Jo heard at break time when he took a seat in the boys' toilet. Rat, tat, tat. Who could be knocking on the toilet door when he's going to the toilet? Ooh, let's wait and see tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.